Hi my girlies, welcome back to Sassy, a little bit of class. I'm Kiara Williamson and today we're going to be discussing people that bring negative energy and how to kind of take a step back from that. We're also going to be deep diving into the fact that I was actually involved in my first argument, probably the first one that I've had in the last 3 years. Other than obviously in the family group chat, but we all know what they're like, you know? But yeah, this argument was literally with like a friend of a friend, and even days after I was still thinking like, how did I even get myself in that situation? Like, why am I having an argument with somebody? Because I am the least confrontational person ever. Like, I hate any like bad vibes. So yeah, let's dive right in. If you've been listening to the pod for a while, especially like the early episodes, I spoke a lot about how like I don't really have many girlfriends. Like, I would rather just spend all my time with Connor and Ralphie, my little dog, and like family and things. I'm very much like love to be at home, love to be tidying the house, love to be on like dog walks, but I'm still kind of in the mindset of nobody's my, like, I don't have any friends, everyone's just kind of like an acquaintance, if that makes sense. Like, as soon as someone goes, oh, like, who's your friend? Or like my little sister might say to me, like, oh, like, who would you say your best friend is? And I'm like that. Nobody, hate everyone. Like, I've said this before. And it's just because I don't really like to let anyone in. Because then I feel like I could easily just get hurt. And then imagine, like, they're like, oh, like, I wouldn't have classed you as a friend. And I'm like going, oh my God, she's my best friend. This seems a bit petty and like high school behaviour. And like, really, that's probably never going to happen or like come up in conversation. But I just feel like I find it quite hard to be like, yeah, that's my friend. Like, find that quite like vulnerable, if that makes sense. Even telling you that's a wee bit like, that's my wee secret, so you keep that to yourself. I've also had situations before where I've been like, oh my God, like, they're like my new little bestie, and then they'll let me down, and I'm like that, oh, like, I didn't say to everyone that you're my bestie, you know? I didn't take it that far because that would take a lot, but I did kind of think to myself, like, oh, like, we were meeting all the time, we were always, like, texting, Snapchatting, whatever. We were always, like, going for coffees, meeting, having little lifeies and things. I feel like if you're a girl, you'll know exactly what this type of energy feels like, but it's when the vibe kind of switches, okay? You've been friends with a girl for, like, a certain amount of time, and then all of a sudden, the vibes are just off. The replies are different, the meetups feel a bit different. That is exactly what happened with me. And then they started to bring someone else, and it was like, oh, can we go here? And it would be like, I would need to drive. And I just kind of felt like I was getting used for like being a taxi, really. And I just thought, this isn't really about me, to be honest. So I totally avoided that situation and basically just stopped messaging. And I'm like, they've never reached out to me, so I think they probably got the hint that like, oh, she's noticed it, we've been using her or whatever. And I just kind of took a step back. um Another thing as well I'm kind of stepping back from is people that are really negative, and I feel like this kind of makes me feel not above anyone at all, but like I'm so glad I'm not in that mindset right now. Like, I have been around recently loads and loads of people. Like, I feel like it's more often right now for some reason. I feel like I don't know if it's because, you know, I had my little mental health break, you know, I was feeling a bit down, so I don't know if it's like when I'm like that, when I'm feeling a bit down, I'm like a wee sensitive soul, so anything, like, everybody's energy will get to me. And I'm still kind of like that just now, but definitely not as bad. Sorry, there's a dog barking outside, but I'm hoping you can't hear it. Anyway, so just now, if I'm around a certain like energy that's very negative, that's like, oh, I don't want to be here and I don't want to do this, and oh, I hate my outfit today and my hair's so ugly, and it could just be the most minor things. I'm like, oh, I feel drained, like I've just had to listen to you for this amount of time, like this period of time, and all you're doing is moaning to me. And don't get me wrong, I love to be a little therapist, but for actual, like, dare I say, important things like your outfit not fitting you right, or like not being styled the way you want it to style, or your hair not saying, we'll not even go into my hair dilemma, but do you know what I mean? Honestly, I'll be your therapist, like, rant to me about life, but little like nitpicks at like people, like, they're just so angry at everything and everyone, and this person's annoying me, and why are they wearing that, and why do they look like that, and oh, I hate this about this person. I'm like, oh, you're just so negative about everyone and everything and themselves and everyone else. And I'm like, I just can't be dealing with that right now. And I try not to don't worry, we all have a little rant, okay? Don't get me wrong, but I don't like to talk about people behind their backs. Unless they've annoyed me, I'll go, oh, they annoyed me because of this. Like, I'll have a little rant, but I won't slag someone off because, like, their appearance or what they're wearing or anything like that. And I feel like if you're around people that do that, it's quite easy, because I've done it before, to slip in and to speak about them. But I think as you get older and as you're obviously mature and experiencing things, you'll learn to be like, oh, actually, like I've done it before, like being in a group chat or whatever, and people are speaking about someone, and I'm like, I don't really like love that, to be honest. It brings me down. Like, talking about someone else. No, I was like, oh, why are you talking about someone else? Like, does it make you feel better? And I'm like, it actually makes me feel worse about myself, so I just don't do it. And then I start to think like, oh, especially if I'm not really that close with the girls or with the whoever's speaking about this other person. I'm like, how are you speaking about me then? You know? And like I said, don't get me wrong, love a little rant, that's totally fine. If someone's annoyed you and it's about a situation rather than coming for their personal and coming for them, like physical, then I'm absolutely fine. You rant away, babe. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Unless it's consistent, unless it's like constantly speaking about someone behind their back, then that's not ideal either. But yeah, image wise, personality wise, I'm like that. Keep that to yourself. So on the topic of being a little therapist and things, well, this is kind of how the argument kind of started actually, the argument that we were talking about at the start. Basically what happened was, well, I think I'm quite good at like reading the room and like understanding like what people are trying to say to me through text. Text can be so, especially if you don't talk to the person all the time and you're not really close to the person, texting can be very hard to read. You don't always know how to take a message. And even if you do know the person, you can still easily read like a message wrong, okay? So this is basically how the argument started. On this occasion, I did not read the signs at all. This is actually really, really important, and I hope you can kind of take someone away from this. Basically, me and this person had been speaking, but we don't ever really speak on text. Like, we've only really met possibly 5 times, and we only really like speak, and we got on really, really well when we're in like a social sense. So say we were like out for drinks or something like that. It was like a friend with a friend kind of vibe. On this day was like one of the only times we had actually messaged outside of a social meeting, if that makes sense. So they had messaged me saying there wasn't very many people like going to this party, and I says, don't worry, like me and Connor are on our way, but don't tell anyone. I wanted to surprise whose party it was. And they says, nah, I really just can't be bothered. Like, I assumed with the party. I was mentioning things like the party's on its way, like I was just having a laugh. I also did keep phoning because they said they had left. I was like, but where are you? Because me and Connor will come and pick you up and we'll all go into the party together. And then I got blocked, and I thought fair enough, because that was probably annoying, because I did keep phoning and I was messaging saying just come back and things like that. I was meant to be going to this party, but then I was like, oh no, I can't be bothered drinking. But I always had in the back of my head, I'm just going to show up, surprise the girl whose party it is, take maybe like Just Dance, like take my Switch, play Just Dance, they'll all be drunk, I'll be a laugh, like have some fun. So yeah, anyway, we do that. This person that I was messaging wasn't there. They did in fact go home, and obviously they blocked me, so I had no idea of where they were. We did drive about a wee bit, looked for them, couldn't find them, so just went to the party. Anyway, a couple of days or even weeks after that, I was still blocked, didn't think anything of it. Like I said, it's not like my closest friend, it's a friend of a friend, so I'm like, I was being annoying. And they were still messaging Connor, so I thought, totally fine. Then eventually we kind of end up messaging, and it got a bit heated, and I was just kind of like, I don't understand what I've done wrong here, but they definitely were given the impression that I should know what I've done, and I really, really didn't know. So basically it got a little bit heated, and they were like messaging Connor, so I just phoned them off Connor's phone, and I just went like what is actually going on? They went for me all guns blazing. I was like on the phone, I was like nervous laughing. I was like, what do I do? Like, I do not argue, I don't have, like, see, in like a jokey, like banter kind of way, I have the comebacks, okay? In this situation, I'm just like, what do I do here? Like, don't get me wrong, I used to be so good at arguing, and I probably really am still a good arguer, to be fair. In modern studies, I always say this kind of, in modern studies, I had to argue like 2 points, not like when you have to like do a debate. Argued my debate, argued my side, and then teacher was like, out of nowhere, switch it up, and now I had to argue, but I still won both times, even though I just had to contradict everything I just said. Anyway, so quite good at arguing, know how to get my point across and things like that. When I tell you, right, I basically didn't argue. I was, not gonna lie, I was kind of riling them up a little bit more at the start because I was laughing and they thought I was being rude, which I basically was, but I was just so baffled of why are they coming for me, to be honest. Anyway, so basically they shared that when they says they couldn't be bothered, they were actually meaning that their mental health was like an all-time low and they just couldn't bother with life, and I didn't understand that. Like, I didn't know that that's what they meant. The way I read it, because of previous conversations, I just read it as like that they couldn't be bothered with the party, like they weren't, like I was in the same boat, like I didn't want to like be drinking or that either, but I was just going to like show face and like, I don't know, add a little bit of like lighten up the mood a little. I don't know. 5 minutes of that conversation, we did manage to like squish it and things, but I just think I didn't expect them to come to me. I don't even know if they wanted me to go into like lifey mode and like start, I don't know what they wanted, but I just don't think I read the messages because I didn't actually think that they would come to me like that. And maybe they didn't. Maybe they just wanted to like get off their chest and me to kind of back off because I was constantly like, just come, like, where are you? We'll come get you and things. And obviously I just didn't read it like that. But yeah, within like 5 minutes of the phone call, we did manage to like totally squash it, and we both apologised, and they apologised for like the things that they had been saying. But see, even like days after, I was like, that, how did I even get in that situation? Like, I'm usually so good at reading people, like proper take pride in like, I know people so well, like I'm so good at analysing, and I just didn't analyse that. Like, I was in the car, me and Connor were like being like, oh, what do we say to this and what will we say, and we'll like replying together, like, because it's obviously Connor's pal as well. So I'm like, I don't know, kind of got me thinking like maybe I should look into what people are saying to me a bit more. No matter obviously like who it is. But yeah, the first 5 minutes of that phone call were intense. I was just kind of like, what do I do? Like, don't get me wrong, like I was giving it back because I was kind of like wanting to defend myself. Like, I obviously didn't know at the time what I had done, and they were coming for me, and I was like, well, like, you're acting like I've done something. But obviously to them, they thought I was laughing at them, and to me, I'm like, I don't even know why I'm blocked, but that's why I was blocked. Do you know what I mean? I thought I was just blocked. I was being silly and I kept phoning them. And lesson learned, basically. That's everything for this week. I actually am going to be changing my schedule times. It's still on a Sunday, of course. But I'm thinking I might start uploading at 6 p.m. So yeah, just keep that in mind. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be posting every 2 weeks instead of every single week. I'm still just kind of gradually getting back into the swing of things, and obviously thinking of new topics every week is a bit of a challenge. So, especially like working 2 jobs and doing little bits in between. So yeah, I will see you maybe next week, maybe in 2 weeks, but make sure you turn the notifications on so you know every time I post. Don't forget to like and subscribe, follow. If you are listening on a streaming platform like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave a review, and I will see you on a Sunday at 6 p.m. See you later, bye. Love you.